Exactly.
Right.
I just want to make sure you guys see that I know we're just talking about Yeah, probably did that. That's probably just whatever recorded it. They forgot it. They kept bringing the thing. Whole outburst.
Okay. He's a little lot of time on it. Not really. So I think the markers got time and I could like talk everything pretty well too, like to it. This group well enough so they could the markers all put together. Some categories.
Oh, no, I'm not using the mic.
So good. Yeah. We call it like, what's the best thing?
Yes.
There's no big memory. Oh, cool. Like you get like your first. Yeah. You're ready. Oh. John's great. Yeah. So much. Yeah.
I did just for that.
Well, she yeah, she has like a I'll try to work with her about my content. Yeah, I was over in and everything was then like I did. I did go arrange it now. I was in the jail. Yeah, I am. But I was there for but they got it just so I was there. And I can see your age and today, right? It's not I think it's a rocket short. They were getting tornado. People like to say more mortality stuff. I don't know
gross. Like, with like the bag, you know what I mean? It's nasty. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, like, no matter what,
Like,
right?
I don't think
It's
here.
It's heavy.
Yeah, you're like, yeah.
So that's why all my smaller critters, they're easy to get. And I looked up there and they was chasing me around.
Well, you are kind of like, how happy do I drive? Or do I drive or do I walk? Like, you're right. You can walk. That's great. You should have a bigger little yeah. But then you got like, yes.
Oh, yeah. My mom has a yard that's so she can just
Yes.
dog outside. And it has like a porch. Do you want to be in here?
Yes.
So, I mean, I was a short face like,
yeah, and they work there so they're all, but they're very, I don't think they work for
and that's another thing I ain't training at all. I mean, I watched them when the bridge was like racing the pit pack in the morning. Yeah, they literally just figured out.
They had like a real well, they told me they didn't do any of it, like, did, but yeah, it was just me. Right.
Yeah, she got back to me today. She said, it's pretty
So nice. So nice. So like 18 people left.
It's very time consuming. I have to find like 5 days when I have research and stuff.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'm found outside.
And then I realized they do, like, I don't know if they can look it up and they can make it right.
Where you are.
Like, who was it? Like,
Well, here's like,
things, but I think you can always adjust if you.
it was like when I was like 12.
So,
So, I mean, I never wrote that. You know, I think I was pushing what's back with. What? So, I don't know. That's the closest I've ever met. But, I did travel a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, cats here, like, have cats in front of them on the side or something. Their main road. So, it's the that's all I have to do.
Like, oh my gosh. I get like one, I get like a 1.5.
Yeah. So that's different. So let's talk about that person. We compare to here. Yeah, yeah, but like you have, they have the one to go up and down. That's the difference. And they have around, he'll go to all the things, look around. And I don't want to stand to the boss and all for it. You like hang out in my showers, and I'm asking my shoulder, and he'll feel my shoulders are here, and he'll flop the rest on my house and on my shoulders. He's a good guy. He's powerful, but they can have the door and it is just, he has to be very, really into having animals, having an environment. And it, that's a lot of them. That's a, I mean, I guess it's the same with kids, but I kids, close enough.
And like, an example, they go back and walking our stage, around Wildflower Stage.
Good morning, everybody. Well, one thing we know after last night is that Nashville is on its way. We took a big step toward a better transportation and infrastructure future, one that makes good common sense and one that leads us toward better quality of life. It is a historic moment for our city, having secured dedicated funding, and our team is ready to go. We designed the Choose How You Move program with two priorities in mind: lowering cost of living and improving quality of life. We are still working on the project of a better Nashville for Nashvillians. Today, we'll get really moving on an issue that impacts us all, no matter where you live in the city or what you earn. And we're moving forward together. Thank you, Nashville, for your trust. While we've been talking about this for a long time, our congestion has been building. The price to fix it has gotten more expensive, along with the cost of living. We've got the worst commute in the nation, according to Forbes, and now we'll be doing something about it for years to come. We're moving from talking and planning to doing. That was a campaign commitment. We're ready to get to work. Today, I'm hoping that everyone gathered here helps us inform the public about what comes next and what our expectations should be. First up, community will continue to be engaged in program implementation through the creation of an advisory committee, and the Mayor's Office will work in collaboration with Metro Council Transportation and Infrastructure Chair Sean Parker and Budget and Finance Chair Delicia Porterfield to draft legislation outlining continued engagement with the Metro Council around program implementation and financial reporting. We're committed to transparency in this process over the next 2 years as the program work ramps up. We will provide at least quarterly updates to the Transportation and Infrastructure, Budget and Finance, and Planning Committees of the Metro Council, and will conduct annual audits of the Transportation Improvement Program and present the findings to the public. We'll have an advisory committee that will include both new faces and a blend of the technical and citizens advisory committee members who met throughout the pre-election process and helped shape the Choose How You Move program. The conversation with the community is just beginning, and there will be numerous opportunities for all Nashvillians to inform how we implement the improvements contained within Choose How You Move. As Michael Briggs said at one point, this is the start of the next conversation. Metro also won't be building this program alone. We can't. We will rely on subject matter expertise from industry partners. That work also starts today. In the coming weeks, our procurement team and Metro Finance will be holding information sessions for vendors interested in implementation of Choose How You Move. If you want to be part of the program, these sessions will outline how to do business with Metro and the best ways to get involved. This is a 15-year program. We'll be issuing procurements in the future that will leverage partnerships to execute the billions of dollars of capital improvements. We recognize that we will have to partner with local talent and expertise to deliver on voters' resounding approval of this program and its vision for our future. Those partners will work hand in hand with a new position in the Mayor's Office, Chief Program Officer for Choose How You Move. The position will be posted today, and we'll move quickly to bring the right person onto the team to oversee coordination of all aspects of Choose How You Move through strategic direction and overall program management, including working with our Metro departments, community representatives, and private partners. This is a critical position that will require a unique blend of leadership skills, management experience, technical knowledge critical to success. This is now the largest collection of capital projects in Metro's history, so ensuring we implement successfully and in a timely manner requires great leadership from the Chief Program Officer. Today, we feel excitement because voters agreed we deserve a transportation system befitting a major American city. And I do want to be clear, the changes will take time. We would wish for a fast implementation, but again, that 15-year horizon for build-out is something we knew from the get-go, and we do expect to see improvements in the first year. We're kicking off community engagement soon, so we are shovel-ready as soon as possible. Metro will begin receiving money from the sales tax surcharge this coming spring, nearly 6 months from now, and the work that starts today will ensure we're ready to begin implementation of the year one elements of the program as soon as funds are available. Redesigns of corridors that we, in many cases, haven't touched since the 1960s or 1970s will take more time. Other things like sidewalk projects or installing some of our first smart, modern traffic signals and improvements to transit frequency on routes we already know folks are riding will start quickly. WeGo will be moving within the first year to implement a low-income fare program, so Nashvillians who qualify for nutrition or housing assistance can also qualify for subsidized rides for the first time in Nashville's history, and that's just the beginning. Voters gave us their trust. We will honor it by maintaining the same openness that we demonstrated during development of the program, the clear information we shared, the easy access to everything Choose How You Move intends to do all the way down to street level, including a thorough financial plan and audit all posted for anyone to read. We want the implementation process to be the same. I look forward to sharing more about our approach to reporting out on implementation progress in the months and years ahead, and I am grateful to Nashvillians and our voters for supporting a common sense program that unlocks our diverse neighborhoods, brings them closer together, offers dignity and independence and safety to our residents, and connects us all to opportunity and each other. It has been a long road to get here, and I again extend my thanks to Mayors Dean, Berry, Briley, and Cooper, who took steps along the way as my predecessors, and after endless conversations with residents that have lasted decades who have wanted something better, now we'll all have better choices for how we move. I do want to be clear that this is not the only work we'll be doing. Our office has heard from Nashvillians concerned about other election results, and this administration remains committed to working on a Nashville where we constantly take better care of one another. Thank you for being here, and I'm happy to take any questions. Nate.
Ever since the referendum failed in 18, there's this debate, how big of a plan, which election to put it on. When you look at the results from last night and see that wide margin, do you think a bigger plan, a more expensive plan would have passed?
Well, I don't know. I think what we wanted to do was get a plan that could succeed with an overwhelming support of voters. You know, the hard part about even thinking about a bigger plan is there's just not a lot of room for maneuver. We had already committed hotel motel tax to the Titans deal, and the other remaining sources of revenue don't allow us to think about programs as big as this one. And I think what Nashvillians will find over the next several years is that this plan is plenty big. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about what you would how would you characterize and what would you say about transit advocates who have worked for a long time, you among them, to get something like this moved forward? And what does that kind of mean for that dedicated group that have had faith over years and years?
Yeah, I thought what we observed last night, not only with an overwhelming level of support from Nashville voters, it was really refreshing for me to see the size and strength of the coalition that did this and its durability. We had coalitions representing business and labor, you know, organizations that think about city design, livability, organizations that work on behalf of either minority or lower income communities, and all of them work together. And yes, I mean, even last year, at the 5-year anniversary of the 2018 referendum failure, we had, I think, many of the people you're talking about standing out here on the steps of City Hall saying we need to do this again. And so I'm very glad that we heeded their recommendations and that we did. And some of them paid close attention to the work of our transition committee that focused on how Nashville moves. And so today, I'm very grateful for their dedicated support, and I'm very grateful that Nashville voters understood why we needed to do it.
What is the first couple of things that people will see actual tangible difference next year? What's the timeline for that? Is it traffic lights by Q1?
I don't think we'll be able to do a whole lot by Q1. I think the easiest thing we'll probably have to get started on are some sidewalks. We're starting multiple conversations with the finance department today to see what will be immediately eligible for the funding and how quickly we could, for instance, go to ground on some of this. Sidewalks in the easiest places to build them, signals where, connect downtown, recently completed. There may be some opportunities there, but I think by this time next year, we will see progress on all three things. We would expect that, for instance, at some point, depending on their schedule of annual service changes, that in calendar year 2025, WEGO will be able to have more improvements than they would have at any other year in recent history. So we think on all three of sidewalk, signals, and service, you'll start to see improvements in year one, but I can't tell you quarter by quarter or exactly what street would be first.
Does that also include kind of the shift to 24/7 WEGO service? When do people expect that to start up? The staffing, I'm guessing, is going to be a problem.
Right. Steve Bland advised pretty early he couldn't hire enough bus drivers today, and we simply don't have all of the fleet to go to all of that expanded service level. But the program's also designed to build on itself so that the improvements you see in year one then expand and work even better together in year two, and that by year 5 you start to really see, I think, some of those service level improvements. I think we're focused on making sure that the bus gets easier to use this year. That's why the low-income fare program is a top priority. I'll have to check to see what WEGO's capacity in the first year in terms of hiring drivers, adding buses to fleet to get to those service levels. Like what point in the calendar we think we can get to 24/7, 365, but don't know that today. Stephen?
How confident are you that the $1.4 billion federal fund will still be there?
We have a lot of confidence in what is available under the terms of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and Inflation Reduction Act, and there are still years worth of funding there. Additional federal programs, they have been fairly consistent over decades, regardless of makeup of Congress or who is in the White House. And so we think that most of the funds will be there. And again, it's a 15-year program, so it will last across multiple different congressional elections and federal elections.
Well, I guess multiple people around Trump have proposed the elimination of the FTA, have proposed rolling back the Inflation Reduction Act in some way. So what happens if that money's not there?
If the money is not there, we wind up having to value engineer probably some elements. It probably means the most intensive capital elements of the program would be reduced, but we think that from a basic service level delivery, from a basic sidewalk and infrastructure delivery, we can get done what we need to get done. And we'll get a jump start while we know that federal funding is available.
Election results from yesterday show that Tennessee's representation, both in Washington and the state capitol here, primarily Republican. Is that going to change the partnerships that you have federally and locally, and what are the implications for Nashville?
Yeah, I think anytime there's an election, there's a change in the way relationships work. We are very lucky that this administration has enjoyed very productive relationships with state leadership in both the executive and legislative branches. We also have enjoyed relationships with a lot of our federal congressional partners, I think all of whom won re-election last night, who were on the ballot. So these are standing relationships that we will continue to leverage. As far as the White House, we know that there will be staff turnover. That would have been the case regardless of who had won, and we'll look forward to working with the White House Office of Intergovernmental Affairs to start to establish new relationships as quickly as we can.
Going off that question a little bit, last night, Mayor, you talked about this referendum as something that Nashville did together. For an entire country who right now might seem more divided than ever, and there may be some people out there that wonder if togetherness is even a thing that can be possible anymore. I'm curious, what lessons has this referendum taught you about how to reach out and find common ground with people who may not see things the same way you do?
Yeah, I think here in Nashville, there are a couple of great lessons. One, again, if we talk about these things that are happening on the ground and anchored around common sense, we see support from Governor Lee, TDOT, our state partners in ECD, even in members of Congress who may have a different party affiliation than a lot of Nashvillians. We worked very closely with Congressman Rose, and he helped us secure funding specifically both for Donaldson Station and the East Bank. My hope is that we're showing Nashvillians that spirit of togetherness every day that we're in office. I definitely think Nashville is showing that it is still not only possible, but also desirable. We've had voters who identify as Democrats, Republicans, and Independents express repeated support for this program. And I think that as we continue to do work with state and federal partners, regardless of partisan identification, that we are in the business of making sure that Nashville as a city is well governed and that everybody has what they need. Going to the back.
Mayor, you talked about adding on a position kind of to oversee, I guess. Is that salary going to be part of the proposed budget, or is that something new? Or? No,
correct. We know we'll have some new funding under the program, and then we have had salary savings here in the mayor's office and everything. We believe that we can staff that position based on the existing FY25 mayor's office budget and new program dollars.
Is it preferable to somebody in town, or we look at?
We don't know. We'll post them. I mean, sometimes we hire locally, sometimes we hire from within departments, but we've also, even over the past year, had some people express interest from outside of Nashville who've come in and been great fits on the overall Metro team. So I'm not going to try to prejudge that. Yeah.
Given the referendum's overwhelming support, do you feel confident that we'll see surrounding Tennessee counties kind of follow
follow suit? Are you starting those conversations with other mayors?
I really do feel confident that we've had strong regional support for the program. Greater Nashville Regional Council participants, Regional Transportation Authority have already heard from Mayor Anderson in Williamson County. He and Mayor Moore in Franklin were early leaders in the Mayor's Caucus, which is still going today. I think that's what's great. We've also heard from other mayors in major cities across Tennessee, from Memphis to Chattanooga to Knoxville. My hope is that we can continue to show, to Jason's point, that common sense approaches that try to bring people together still work in Tennessee.
What did you hear from Mayor Anderson?
Just congratulatory note this morning, but he was very involved in those conversations that date back to 2008 around the formation of the Transit Alliance of Middle Tennessee. The Mayor's Caucus remains a very invested partner in the overall success of Middle Tennessee as a region. Yeah.
Speaking of traffic and parking, earlier this year, booting went away here in the city of Nashville. I know I wanted to ask you, would you be open to legislation bringing it back? And then what were some of the things you observed, predatory practices, were there benefits to it, a little bit more of a free-for-all now?
Yeah, there are state and local conversations underway about what happens with booting on private lots, also about parking fees, about signage. On Metro Council, we worked on some things to try to add transparency to parking. We know this is a top concern for Nashvillians, particularly for people coming downtown, musicians. There continue to be also related conversations about musicians arranging deals for discounted parking to get to venues. And we're engaged in those. I feel like, from my standpoint, I want all of the city to feel accessible to Nashvillians. And so as we see people engaged in predatory practices, we know that the State Attorney General's office has been doing some consumer-based investigation along these lines for parking. And so we're following that state conversation, but I can't say that I know what's going to happen next.
Do you have thoughts on booting the practice?
I think booting seems like a somewhat aggressive approach to somebody who may just be going to a show, for instance. But we've also seen, and I say this from having represented downtown, people who may find a spot and basically claim it as theirs. And it may be something that the same car is in a place that should be turning over that's there for days or weeks. And I feel like there are a lot of approaches here. And I'd rather be in a scenario where people parking are acting in good faith and the people that are offering the parking are acting in good faith. And I don't know that we're all the way to what a recommended policy approach would be here. Yep. Nate?
There was a sense around Metro that the city needed to get through the transit referendum, and then maybe some other initiatives got put on the back burner or things you had to put off. Do you agree with that? And what are your top non-transit priorities now?
Fundamentally don't agree with that, and I would invite anybody to check out nashville.gov/progress. We made incredible strides across the board in year one. The story map that's a part of that overall year of great work. I mean, Bob Mendez and the development office alone did important work to get us started on the East Bank, but multiple of our teams have been focused on issues for younger Nashvillians, the things that we've been working on that have increased seats available for aftercare, continues to be a focus. The launch of the Nashville Early Education Coalition is something we've been a part of. The things that have been happening in the background to help coordinate with Imagine Nashville have been playing out all year. For us going forward, I think housing remains a top priority. We've been working all year long with the Housing Division at Metro Planning. We have another announcement on housing today. I think we'll have many more over the next several years. The unified housing strategy that they've been working on should be available before the end of the year. Very much looking forward to kind of using that to springboard beyond what the Affordable Housing Task Force report that came out in Mayor Cooper's administration offered. We've made a lot of progress against that original Affordable Housing Task Force report, though. So I think if you take housing and transportation as large-scale investments, I think childcare is probably very close behind that as a cost of living consideration, and then we're also very interested in kind of healthcare access and things that are related to it, like nutrition, food security issues. So a whole package of things that we're going to be doing around affordability and cost of living. Stephen?
Was it a mistake for the referendum campaign to file as a 501c4? They obviously thought that was wrong.
I don't know. I didn't really follow the campaign finance or campaign activities particularly closely. So my general recommendation to all campaigns is do what is required by state law, and that would be. I haven't followed that particularly closely, but I would encourage everybody there to be working collaboratively to make sure that all of the appropriate transparency is done and that everything's done according to the legal requirements.
One of Donald Trump's promises was that if he was elected, he would work to conduct a mass deportation nationwide. If that's something that does end up happening, would Nashville cooperate with that?
My priority is going to be taking care of Nashvillians, and we know that there are thousands of Nashvillians who are here as part of families seeking opportunities, and we are generally unconcerned with their status of documentation, and as Nashvillians, we want to make sure we're covering their needs. I have been relieved that our Department of Law and Chief Drake and MMPD have advised with changes recently to state law that so far they are not expecting any changes to the way they conduct their business. And so we will obviously be paying attention to what the federal government does. But again, my top priority as mayor is to make sure we are keeping Nashvillians safe and taking care of each other.
Let's do two more.
I think I saw one back here. Okay, go back to Cindy.
Speaking of affordability, I know NOAA has floated the grocery sales tax elimination. I'm wondering if that's something that is.
I think the passage of this referendum means that it's actually something we can now take a serious look at, but we'll be looking at a number of things as we approach the FY26 budget. We'll have a new finance director on board and want to evaluate things knowing that this is an appraisal year, but that is something we will probably at least look to get a cost estimate on. Yeah, back here.
Yeah, I know you've been busy, but anything new to add about the situation with the Salvation Army and the whole contract situation?
No, we've been very fortunate that with Darren Jernigan and Councilmember Aaron Evans working together with state and local partners, that we know we should have pallet shelter housing available in the near future. So excited to advance that. Anytime there is a contract that can't be fulfilled, we expect to go find another vendor who can fulfill it. So I'm expecting that we'll move forward on that and be able to get those dollars into the hands of somebody who can fulfill that. We're looking at options for emergency sheltering this winter. We've heard that there may be some new vendors that are available across Tennessee or other providers that want to come participate in this work in Nashville. So we'll be excited to have those conversations as they come up too.
Could there have been a different way? It kind of seemed like it got in the public real quick, where it should have just been discussed between Metro and Salvation Army. It came up in council meeting the way it did.
Yeah, I would say, again, I try to always encourage people to resolve policy discussions in straightforward, simple ways. But I also know from having served on the Metro Council that there were often times where we did learn things through committee discussion or working with departments to discover what was going on. At this point, I'm more concerned about making sure that we get that scenario resolved so that somebody in the provider space is able to fulfill that contract, because we do have unhoused Nashvillians that need that work done.
All right.
Thank you all.